Hi, I'm Debbie Repschlager, the Program Manager here at Clarence Landcare. This project, it's a little bit different to the type of projects that we normally would work on. We normally do environmental projects, being Landcare, but this project was specifically about the community and about infrastructure and the community's preparedness for bushfire and recovery as well. So the reason that we went for this project was because we're very well connected to the community, and particularly to the communities that are actually impacted by the Black Summer bushfires. Here at Clarence Landcare, a number of us have been impacted by the fires, a lot of staff, including myself, and also our committee. So we really felt that we had the experience and knowledge of what people needed after the bushfires. So we put together this project to try and address that, and we were successful.
Hi, I'm Rick Buckmaster. I've lived in Boyder. I've been living here now for just under 30 years, and my husband, Philip Wakeling.
Hi, I'm Phil, yes, and Nimboyder is a high-risk fire area, so we've always been aware of that, and we've always, made sure that we're prepared for whatever eventuates.
And the 2019 fire was the utmost devastating fire that's ever been through Nimboyder. Over 90 homes were lost, and we are one of the very fortunate ones that saved our home, and we stood and fought the fire at about 1:30 in the morning. So that's what our story is about, of how we did save our house.
And it very much helped that we were part of the fire brigade, because we've learnt skills, and those skills certainly came into use very much so.
The day of the fire, I was actually rung by my boss at work and was told that, don't you know you should be evacuating to get home to your house? I went, oh really? So on that I raced home, and it would have been about 12 o'clock in the day. And driving home, the interesting thing was seeing the colour in the sky. Phenomenal, hazy orange to red. And by 3:30, 4 o'clock in that afternoon, you actually couldn't see the sky. It was just a haze of orangey red.
So as it got closer, probably about 20 minutes before it really hit us, we were busy wetting down the whole area, wetting the verandas, wetting the gardens, putting sprinklers on, and just the amount of water we put out really was a very good thing. But then when the fire hit, it hit with a ferocity that we'd never seen before. And I was out the back looking after the sheds and the equipment, and it was very touch and go. And at the one point, my fire brigade uniform, which is supposed to be fireproof, I had to hose my legs because I was literally it looked like an ocean of ember. And eventually my trousers started to catch fire, and that's how intense the heat was. And I used a little garden shed as a barrier between me and the flames. And at one stage, I pulled my mask off, thinking, oh, my mask is blocked from the smoke, because you're in thick smoke all the time, and your eyes are watering, and it's physically very hard. Anyway, I ripped my mask off, only to find that there was no air. There was so much flame. There was 40 metres of flame over the top of me. And what happens in that situation is that people don't die from the flame, they die from asphyxiation. So I was able to, from experience, get down on all fours and come out into an open area and get down low, and that's where the oxygen is. So it would have been very dicey had I not known that. Rick was at the house.
So I was on the other side, so I'm basically about 45, 50 metres away, quite happily, and I'm looking after the house side. So I was set up with our little firefighting pump, and that only has how many litres? 500 litres, is it? 500 litres of water, and that's it. So if I run out, I've run out. The fire, for me, came up and remarkably slowed down fabulously once it hit our dam wall. We've got a dam in front of our house, and it's actually never really been a dam that's worked, but we've kept it, and the force of the fire came straight up the gully and hit that dam wall and went bang, stop. And then the embers sort of flew up over the house, which we, in our own mind, thought that was going to happen over the last 25 years. So it's going to come up that ridge, hit the wall, and go up all the embers and over the house. This did happen. I was able to then get the fire out, but then turning around, so the dam wall was out, then turning around, then there's embers under the house. Then there's embers around near another tank. Then there's something now caught on fire right next to the house. Literally from when you look at video start to video finish, it was the 25 minutes of hell, basically. So this is our gully down here. This is where we knew the fire was going to come up and to be the most danger to us. When the offer of the Landcare bushfire recovery funding was there for us, we went, well, we've got a perfect opportunity knowing that this gap was here. So our goal was to basically, on the edge and ridge of our gully here, was to put a watering system in that would be able to instantly go on with pop-up sprinklers, and that would be a wall of water to protect us if this ever happened again.
So as part of the grant, we were able to install this pump, and there's 4 outlets, which I'll go through in a second. We were able to install this tank here as an addition to the 24,000 litre tank. This is another 10,000. And this is dedicated solely to firefighting. We've got 4 valves on the pump. One of them is for the RFS. The next one is for the pop-up sprinklers, of which there's 60 metres of pop-up sprinklers. The next one is the sprinklers on the roof. And this big one here is for the fire reel. We can fight the fire here, and because it's so high pressurised, it goes, 30, 40 metres out. It's wonderful to have this right here where we need it.
Hi, I'm Darren Freelander from Nimboida, down Glens Creek Road. This is my property where a house once stood. So back in 2019, the fires came through. We lost that place, all pretty harrowing. We ran out of water basically, so I had to leave, evacuate. Went and helped a mate at his place and helped him save his shed basically, but yeah, nothing could be done for our shed. We didn't have water, didn't have the resources, the infrastructure on hand. So since then, I've built a shed on the house site and did a few workshops through Clarence Landcare. Decided to put sprinklers all over the shed and get all the infrastructure up to scratch where I didn't have it before. We did a couple of courses on setting up sprinkler systems around the property, and then obtained, through Clarence Landcare again, obtained a grant to put the infrastructure on the shed: sprinklers, fire hose reels, a pump, and a portable system for my trailer to be able to move it around where need be. So when the 2023 fire came through in October, I felt very secure in the fact that I had the infrastructure there, we had the water there, had good mates to help out, and it was pretty hassle-free defending the place against the fire. A lot milder fire than 2019, but nevertheless, still a scary thing to confront. So here's one of the fire hose reels. I'll put 2 of them on the shed, one on each corner, diagonally opposite. There's 30-metre roll on each one, so I can access quite a large area around the place. Steel going into the ground so it won't burn, and polypiping all buried under there, so it's all fairly fire resistant. When there's a situation, I can turn the sprinklers on the roof, and it puts about a 4-metre zone all the way around, wet zone all the way around the shed. So you don't have to worry about the shed, you can concentrate on the fire and not have to worry too much about what's going on behind you. And you can escape back into the rain of those sprinklers if need be, if you start getting a bit weary or hot or needing to cool down. I'll put this on as well, just so I can connect another hose if need be, or another sprinkler to go near a car or a vehicle or any other infrastructure. So theoretically we can have 4 hoses going off the same setup. And the pump's around the corner. It's an independent pump just for the firefighting, connected to the rainwater tank around the corner, 5,000 gallons. So here's the firefighter that connects up all the sprinklers on the roof. The pressure pump just runs the sink inside. It hasn't got enough grunt to run all the sprinklers and a couple of hoses all at the same time, so the firefighter's perfect for that. Got a valve there that goes up to the roof, starts all those sprinklers, and there's another line going out under the veranda with upside down sprinklers hung in there that can wet all that down pretty thoroughly. But I find in most fires I'm not going to need to wetting under there because I'll be able to keep an eye on it. So my main feeder line's 1.5 inches that goes underground and it's all buried, but that little bit there. It'd be nice to have concrete around them or a steel pipe coming up to protect it, but when the sprinklers are on it's all pretty wet anyway, so I didn't really see that as much of an issue. This is a little mobile firefighting unit. I sort of welded, fabricated up myself, bought some steel with the grant, had an IBC already, and I bought a pump and the reel and welded up the frame, and it's good to go wherever now. Pretty handy to be able to have a mobile set up like that. I think pretty much everyone in Imboida seems to have one now.
My name is Lauren Daniel. We live in Toowoomba. When the 2019 fire came through, it was the first experience that I had with a bushfire. We were at the time planning to build a house. We hadn't yet picked a location. So when the fire actually did come through and it burnt all the understory of the property, it gave us a chance to pick a location for where we wanted to build and gave us a lot of insight on how to plan. During the time of planning the house design, we were also notified of the Landcare's Bushfire Preparedness grant. We applied and received $3,700 to help us, in addition to what we had already planned, to install sprinklers around the home as well as sprinklers on the rooftop gutters made by Rainmaker. Also, with the Bushfire grant, we received the 10,000 litre concrete tank, so that's storage water for the rural fire brigades only. We have town water, which is a high pressure here, but we also have a backup rainwater tank. We have a pump that runs off the solar power, also a backup generator and a fire pump. So there's a lot of backups for backups, because in the case of a fire, you don't really know which thing's going to go down. And we've even had neighbours already kind of coming to look and see, you know, what have we done, and they're been impressed with the systems that are in. I'm definitely thankful for Landcare for the grant, for applying for it, and for also helping support us throughout.
Tony and I planned our bushfire sprinkler system in conjunction with our builder and our plumber Shane. It was really important to us to get it right because it was a new system and something that neither of them had done before, and we wanted to integrate it into our renovation and our rebuild. We wanted a fixed system that was integrated into our eaves and our walls. We didn't want the pipes coming up through our roof sheeting, so therefore we decided to have it coming out through the barge board and underneath our gutter system. So the angle of the sprinklers meant that the water was hitting the roof and the ground at the same time, which was perfect.
Hi, I'm Shane Roberts. I've been in the plumbing industry for 30 years and currently have moved to Grafton area, Blacksons Creek. Moved here in 2015. In 2019 we had a very big bushfire come through Namboida and heading towards Coots Crossing, which I'm sort of in the middle of. And it took 2 weeks for it to sort of filter down towards our place, but I had lived in the city all my life up until now and then had never really experienced a bushfire. And then just to see how underprepared I was and a lot of our neighbours were, and kind of the panic that was going on in the area, so there wasn't a lot of help. Everyone was sort of looking after their own, and it was sort of a daunting thing, and we were pretty lucky. We managed to escape without any damage, and a lot of other people didn't, so it was sort of a bit of a sad time for a lot of people. And so when we've had bushfires since the 2019, so I did learn a hell of a lot out of that. And so sprinkler systems did go on my roof, not as quite as good as this one, but they're definitely up there, and a fire cart and hose reels all around the property and much better prepared. And we recently had more bushfires and felt a lot better and a lot more informed, and I think it was sort of the community was a lot better informed this time than the last time. I was engaged by Tony and Debbie to do a fire sprinkler install into their new house. They already had supplied the sprinklers, which I have here, and we just had to come up with a design and a few issues around the quality of the pipe and the integrity of it. So on this install we've decided to go with 20mm copper pipe. These sprinkler heads have a range of up to 6 metres with an overlapping span, so we've positioned them all around the house with that radius in mind, and obviously with the build sometimes you have to incorporate a little bit this way or that way. So in this build everything's brass, solid copper and cannot burn. In our first build of the house it was a refurbishment of an old dwelling which has rake ceilings, and we obviously couldn't put the sprinklers up in the ceiling, so we had to run it down and find an external wall and then run it up into the eaves, which being copper everything was fine and a solid product was at the end of it. With the new build, as we can see behind us, it's brand new. It's got double joists all around the exterior wall, which we weren't able to bring the pipes up the side wall and into the eaves, so we've had to come up through the middle stud work up into the roof and then split the system off into each direction of that 6 metre radius bend all around the house, which has worked out just as well, and probably being a new build a little bit easier and quicker to do. Tony and Debbie have also, while they've decided to put sprinkler systems in, they've also purchased online these hose reels, and they weren't that expensive, roughly around $250 a hose reel. She purchased 5 of them. They're going to be placed around the dwelling. They've previously had experience with bushfires in 2019 and then again late last year, so they've got a fair good idea where they need them put and the coverage that they need to do. I think it's a good idea if you've got multiple hose reels around the dwelling. Just to sum it up, I think with the fire sprinklers that Tony and Debbie have put in and the hose reels, I think they'll be much better prepared for next time, and it will help a lot.
G'day, I'm Rick and I'm from Clifton, New South Wales, which is off the Summerland Highway, just out of Grafton, about 20 kilometres. I ended up getting a Rainmaker bushfire system. The journey to that system was in the RFS, and in the 2019-2020 season I was away from my property a lot, out protecting houses, and I found when we got to a lot of houses that didn't have the systems, we were able to save them of course, but then when we would come to a house with some form of bushfire system on it, it was just a lot easier for us to work on the house. During that season I did worry quite a bit when I left this house, and then after the season was over, my wife found out that the Clarence Valley Landcare was putting on a workshop on bushfire systems, and I thought, beauty, well, let's go see this because I could learn more about the systems and what's on offer, because I didn't know a lot about them. And during the workshop they showed us 2 or 3 different systems and how they worked and pricing and so forth, and I just took to the Rainmaker system. I found it easy to set up and affordable as well. It was priced really well. During the 2019 bushfire season we had the fire knocking on our door. It was 3 kilometres out in the national park in Banyaba. I was out in the truck working on that fire, and my wife and daughters, they were home alone, and it wasn't a nice feeling. It wasn't a nice feeling knowing that they didn't have much here. We had just, fire comes on the door, just go, leave the house. And my wife actually did that night. The fire was on her door and I wasn't home. It's horrible. Just knowing you had nothing, sort of no form of protection at home. And I guess that's what did lead me to wanting some system at home, just to give me confidence, and my wife confidence, that she doesn't have to take off. When Landcare put this course on, I was so grateful. So thanks to the Clarence Landcare Bushfire Preparedness package, we've got this wonderful system on our house. And last year in August, September, we had fires knocking on our door again. I was out with the RFS And this time when I left, I was a lot more confident because we had this system in place. My wife knew how to use it. It was a matter of just turning the pump on, opening the valves, and the system just does its job. That was really nice to have and know when I left that the place is prepared as best that I could have it. With the Rainmaker system, there's a few ways of putting it up. You can put it up with like a painter's pole in a little hitch that comes with it. I found that didn't work too good for me we have gutter guard. So I had to just put a little slit in the gutter guard with a grinder, and then I find it easier with the ladder being on this house just to walk up the ladder and then just put the sprinkler system in place where the little slit is. So before we got the system in place, we had 3 5,000 gallon water tanks, and I utilised these tanks as part of the system. The pump came with the system, and I set it up so we can switch the valves off each tank. So on the day we can have all these tanks switched off and just this tank running, and the water going from the sprinklers into the gutters of the roof feed back into the tank. But of course, if a big fire comes through and you're getting soot and ash, well, you don't want that in your drinking water. So I can keep these tanks switched off to stay clean, and that becomes a tank specifically for the fire system. And of course you can get that cleaned out later when it's all over and go back onto your fresh water systems. I put this hose in as well. I find it good to have different types of apparatus to use. The pump has this little fender sprinkler here. If a fire come into the pump or into the area, it actually puts some water there. It keeps the pump safe. Another part I like about the Rainmaker system is that once the season's over, you can actually pack it up and store it away. I set up all these containers where I can just put all the different components in, and found it good that I just made notes on there where they actually go, so next year when you set it up, you know where you're walking with the stuff. You're not trying to work it all out again. I'd just like to say thanks to Clarence Landcare for putting on this workshop and giving me the opportunity to learn about bushfire sprinkler systems, and finding the Rainmaker system has been great for me.
So in planning your own bushfire sprinkler system, it's really important to consider your available water, the water pressure that you have, your power supply, and your pump capacity. I hope this video has given you the information and motivation needed to get started on your own system.